Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Revisiting Epcot. What is Revisiting Epcot? Well, Epcot's my favorite theme park at Walt Disney World. I grew up going to Epcot since I was a young child. I still go when I visit on my trips to Disney World today, and I love it. I love the futurism. I love the multiculturalism of World Showcase. I love everything about it. But that said, I do feel like Epcot could use a little refresher. I think particularly Future World is a part of Epcot that can be improved upon greatly to sort of stay closer within the original ideals of Epcot and, relate more closely to the original ideas Walt had for Epcot before it went from a city to a theme park. And in this series, I'm going to each pavilion and each attraction and just talking a little bit about what I think Disney could do to the pavilion to bring it closer to that while keeping it still a high-quality, popular attraction. This is 100% my subjective opinion. This isn't based on any rumors of what Disney's doing or what what they've announced to do. This is purely just a fan talking about what I think should happen. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Land Pavilion, which of course stars Soarin. Now this episode is probably going to be a little bit shorter than the others because I think the land is actually pretty well off, and I think the changes that they can make to make the land better are pretty simple. Now, if you don't know what the land is, I have a couple of videos up about the attractions in the land. It's a pavilion focused on, you guessed it, the land. And it has a couple of attractions right now. For instance, it has Soarin, which is pretty much the biggest popular one there. It's got Livin' with the Land, which is sort of like a slow boat ride. It's got a little 12-minute film about symbiosis called Circle of Life, an environmental fable. It's starring Simba from The Lion King. It's got a tour that you can take called Behind the Seeds, which sort of shows you the greenhouse areas that you actually get to see a little bit in Living with the Land. And it's got a couple of places to eat. It's got the Garden Grill, which is a really cool restaurant because it rotates, which is this one right here. And then it also has sort of a food court fast food area called Sunshine Seasons down at the bottom. So what would I do with this? What do I think's wrong with it, first of all? I don't think there's much wrong with it aside from the fact that it seems pretty aged. I feel like this is a product of the late 80s, early 90s, and it very much feels like so. On top of that, I think Soarin' I don't think it's a bad ride. I think it's a fun and it is an entertaining ride, but I also do think that it sort of misses the mark in what the land's supposed to be about. So, that said, what would I change? Well, first things first, I would totally upgrade the aesthetics of this main area. Right now, it features like these hot air balloons and this very colorful tapestry, but if you see it in person, it's got a very 1990s aesthetic. At least I feel like that's a 1990s aesthetic. Very vibrant colors, mishmashed, not a lot of, pairing going on there, and it just very much feels like a product of like 1995, even though it was from before then. So I would like to see this just redone. And it doesn't even have to be redone radically. Like, maybe, giving the hot air balloons a little sleeker, more modern look and picking a color scheme for the interior. Maybe something that's earthy. Or perhaps, since you've got something like Living with the Land, maybe something like a cooler color tone. Something like that. And on top of that, it'd just be a simple aesthetic upgrade to just, the booths where you're eating down in Sunshine Seasons. Maybe give that a new name, something like that. Very minor stuff. I mean, the same applies here for the Garden Grill. I actually think the Garden Grill is pretty much great untouched. I mean, granted, depending on your taste in food, you might want to see the menu change a little bit. But for the most part, I think the idea of this rotating restaurant's really awesome. Now, what would we do with the attractions? That's the important part, right? So let's start small. Circle of Life, an environmental fable. It's a 12-minute film. It's about Simba teaching Timon and Pumbaa about symbiosis. I think it fits within the theme of the land. What I think is a little different, though, is that it came out in 1995. Next year, it will be a 20-year-old attraction. And considering it's just a 12-minute film, and it's not a very complicated attraction, I think it wouldn't hurt Disney to go ahead and take the same concept, a very short film, teaching people about some concept of living with the earth, and apply it to something new. Now, what would you apply it to? How about WALL-E, right? Wasn't a big theme in WALL-E about how humanity sort of destroyed its Earth and turned it into garbage? And, you know, towards the end, you've got people coming off the ships and planting the first plant. I think that would be a good theme to go with. It's not like cashing in on something directly like Frozen, which wouldn't make much sense here. But is this it? Yep, here we go, Circle of Life. But it would still tie into a Disney property, which is Iger's whole thing, you know. And it's something that I think is refreshing enough that people would, you know, WALL-E's not the newest movie, but I think it's still within people's mind. Here it is. And then you just keep this the same. Like, you don't have to change much about it. Just change the film and that's it. Keep the venue exactly the same. Done. Call it, you know, I don't know, something clever. I'm not clever enough to title things. Sorry, I can't do that. Next step up would be Living with the Land. Now, this is a slow boat ride. We're going to show it. We're not going to ride it because it's a little long. But it's a slow boat ride that shows you how we're using technology to, you know, live with the land and grow plants to our benefit. And what's cool is some of the fruits and vegetables that are grown in Living in the Land are used in the garden grill upstairs. Wait 10 seconds between riders. So we'll just hang out here. Now, what do you do with this? Well, you can't make it a fast, exciting ride. That's just not going to happen. And there's not enough space to make it something radically different. And I think the theming of it is still very relevant. We have to learn how to use our technology to more properly live with the world we're on. So what I would do, though, because let's face it, the boat ride's not the most exciting. I bet a majority of people who go on Living with the Land today are going on it because the line for Soarin's too long. So you know what I would do? I would do the Jungle Book, not the Jungle Book, sorry, the Jungle Cruise method of refreshing a ride, which is to embrace what it is, which is sort of a corny, slow ride. Maybe revamp the script, get some tour, like boat guides on it again. There used to be on the older versions, and now they're just replaced with the VO. But let's get people on the boats again, make them funny. You know, I think one of the best ways to teach people is through humor. Because it gives them entertainment while they're learning, and then, you know, you're not just sitting there reading a lecture. So I think that's what I would do with it. Keep it Living with the Land, keep the exact tour the same, maybe upgrade some of the video bits, because there are some parts where you're watching video on a screen that you can very clearly see were, like, recorded in the, you know, 80s. Replace some of that with new stuff. Maybe upgrade the sets a little bit so they're a little more detailed and refreshed. But most importantly, get a new script that's funny and informative, and get a funny boat guide on all of these boats. And I think people will be more excited to go. And then I think on a cost basis, you know, it's just the words you're saying are different, and you're getting people, you know, you got to pay to, I guess, have the people on the boat doing boat tours. But, you know, reasonably you would expect a nice refresher of this ride would bring in more people, and it would justify it. And then lastly, for the land, Soarin, Soarin, Soarin. Now, I realize I'm probably going to upset a couple of people here, because Soarin's a very popular ride, and anything you say against Soarin might be held against you. I enjoy Soarin. I think it's a fun ride. Oh, they're revamping it. I think it's a fun ride. But at the same time, I feel like it's not informative. It doesn't it doesn't teach you something about the land. It's just a thrill. It's a thrill ride. And I think that sort of goes against what Epcot was supposed to be about, which is an educational and exciting experience at the same time. So here's the thing. I originally approached this thinking my first thing to do would be to get rid of Soarin completely, just remove the ride and put something new there. But then when I thought about it, I realized the ride mechanics are entertaining, and they're useful, and they're popular, and that's something of value. So maybe I shouldn't get rid of it, but it still could use some changes. What do we have over here? Bathrooms, maybe? Oh, nope, just a little hidden corner to eat your food. So here's what I would do. First of all, Soarin's popular. It's really super overcrowded, I think, at points. The first thing I would do is I would make a second Soarin, and I'd put it in one of the country pavilions in World Showcase, and make the film be about that country. So maybe like Soarin over Japan, and then it's all video of like Soarin over the different parts of Japan, like Tokyo and the mountains and things like that. just so you have that sister Soarin there, so that, you know, if too many people are in line at this Soarin, they could go to the other Soarin. It splits it up a little bit, but that's just pie in the sky dreaming. I don't think they'll ever spend the money to develop the exact same ride, just in a different place. Body Wars. But what I would do here is I would replace the film. Keep it Soarin', keep the ride mechanic the same, keep the screen size, everything the same, keep the runtime the same, just change the film. Don't make it Soarin' over California. Don't get me wrong, California's great, but California has Soarin' over California. We don't need a Soarin' over California over here. How about this? Since it's about living with the land, why not a film that takes you to places that we can't physically go? Such as Earth, tens of thousands and millions and, you know, tens of millions of years ago when it was still forming. Why not make this a history lesson that's exciting and fun about how the Earth got to the point it is today? Similar to, I guess, a little bit like the universe of Energy Pavilion, in that it sort of shows you where energy came from, but show how the Earth changed, show Pangea turning into the continents we know today, and do all of this while soaring over it in that space. I think that'd be amazing. You know, today they sort of keep soaring within this realistic view of your hang gliding, right, over California, so you're very limited in altitude, I'd say. You know, you can see the ground pretty closely because of the idea is you're a hang glider, but why not just change it to some, you know, fancy futuristic idea where, you know, now all of a sudden you're soaring in the stratosphere over Earth as Pangea is breaking up, or as the comet that wiped out the dinosaurs is hitting it, and we see, like, this is how the evolution of the Earth brought us to the point we're at today. I think that would go a long way in maybe helping people appreciate where we are today, and appreciate why we need to sort of keep it sustainable, which is, you know, obviously a big talking point these days, is the sustainability of what we're doing to the planet. So I think that would keep it exciting, if not make it more exciting, because, you know, don't get me wrong, the vineyards in California are nice, but, you know, it'd be really sweeter, you know, soaring over dinosaurs, or soaring over medieval kingdoms halfway through, or, you know, soaring over the point where we decided to settle down and go from a nomadic type of people to farming, foraging type of people. Like, that's something that's important, right? You know, when did we start farming? That's something that we could learn. And you don't need a voiceover teaching you this stuff. It's just a matter of giving you that visual of reference to sort of burn into your mind, so that you've got that memory with you. So those are the things I would do to the Land Pavilion. Obviously, it's a lot because I do something to everything, but I think overall they're minor. They're not like the Mission Space episode I did where, you know, I'm essentially gutting the entire ride and putting a whole new ride in there. It's just minor changes that would obviously, you know, on Disney's behalf be expensive, but I really think it would bring a breath of fresh air to the Land Pavilion. I think it would bring it closer in line to what Epcot was founded on, both in, you know, Walt's ideas and just the ideas of the Disney company after he passed, and I think it would bring, you know, Future World and Epcot closer to being the best Epcot it could be. In any case, I want to thank you all for watching. I would love to know what you think. What do you want to see in the land? Maybe you think these ideas are awful and you don't want to see any of them. Let me know. Or maybe you think they're great, or they're not going far enough and you do want to get rid of Soarin'. Let me know what you put in its place. I want to hear what you would do with the Land Pavilion to make it closer to the Epcot you wish it would be. Also, here's a fun new one. Let me know what you would like to see me revisit next. Do you want to see me cover another attraction Epcot? Maybe you'd like to see me go to revisit the Magic Kingdom or revisit Hollywood Studios. Let me know what rides you would like to see me revisit and throw a new spin at. And maybe I'll go and check them out and make that the focus of my next episode. Have a fantastic week. Whatever you're doing, make the most of it, because it makes it so much better, more enjoyable. And hopefully I will see you all next time for the next episode of Revisiting Epcot. Bye, everybody.